All right, hello, my name is Brianna Stewart, and I want to share my Makerspace plan. So, my agenda is 3 goals for Makerspace: the educational benefits, activities and experience, resources, the space needed, funding, the marketing plan, who and when, and the assessment. So, what I would do if I was presenting this, I would have on their phones or computers, you could vote. You will not be able to see what I'm about to do just now, but I would come over here. I'm pretending to be the audience member. So, I'm coming over here. I'm going to vote, and then I'm coming back. I do appreciate your patience. And then we would go over why they chose the answer that they did. And then I would launch into my actual Makerspace plan. So Books by Me Makerspace is my idea. This Makerspace allows for students to create a book. Students can create either a physical book or an ebook, and they can choose from one of the few many genres. So they can create a recipe book with at least 4 recipes, a tutorial or a how-to. So some students may be extremely interested in a particular book or a sport or a game, so they can create a how-to, a fiction story, a crafting story. So I know a few of my kiddos love to make origami, so they could create a book explaining how to make an origami sun or anything they choose, or a special interest. So I'm going to go a little bit more into detail about this makerspace. So my goal for the makerspace is for students to develop some soft skills as well as actually creating a book. So some of the soft skills would include typing if they choose to do it online, organizing and planning. So they will have to be a part of the writing process. So I consider this an extension of what they are learning in class already. They will need to incorporate their creativity, whether it's physically or digitally. And then students will share their interests with other students. So when they're done, they will have to present their book with the group, and then they will be able to leave it in the library to share with others. So some of the benefits of my makerspace would be collaboration with others. So they're going to share their ideas. They're going to talk about their plans. They're going to share their rough drafts with each other. So I think it's a great way to collab and get feedback from their peers. It'll teach them the soft skills that I mentioned earlier. There will be an element of productive struggle, which is important. Students have to understand that sometimes, yes, you will get frustrated, but that is part of the critical thinking process. It helps you with your products or planning your products. It could expose them to new hobbies and content. So maybe originally a student came in wanting to create a digital book, and then they realized, hey, I really love and enjoy working with physical products. I love writing. I love to touch and create physical covers. So that would be a great way to expose them to a new hobby. And they also, of course, a benefit would be to create an actual product. Nothing instills pride like creating something on your own. So, some of the activities and experiences using the UTEC model. So, using my Makerspace allows for students to use a variety of materials, whether it's online materials, so they can do voiceovers, they can create different GIFs or memes, they can create their own cover, they can do it with different formats, or in person where they're using many different materials. So, tinkering, they will tinker with various materials again, online or physically. They can experiment with different storylines, different genres. They can experiment with different types of genres or the medium that they choose to create their book with. And then, of course, they are creating an actual product. So, one of the things that I will do will be to model both the digital applications such as Book Creator, and I did do that in my previous projects, and I will also provide a tangible version so that students can see what to expect when they create their product. And first thing they will do is narrow down the actual topic they're going to use. So they will create a rough draft either on paper. I myself am a paper pencil type of person, or they can use a tablet or iPad, and they can use applications such as Freeform, which is a way to create like a collage to connect your ideas, or they can type their ideas on Google Docs. They can use Docs. They can use Google Slides. Topics students can use when they're trying to plan can be gaming, of course, art, animals, math, planets, books, so on and so forth. Okay, and some of the articles that I looked at when trying to plan for this actual makerspace. One of the articles, Year 7 English, the College of Education, students creating ebooks. This one was geared towards older students. However, I still felt like the planning process was really important and the benefits was really important when I was trying to go about figuring out ways to incorporate this makerspace. 7 benefits of creating a class book. I love this article because it was a great way for me as a future librarian to incorporate classroom teachers. So it talked about how if the classroom teacher is talking about solar systems, then this teacher can assign a student a page and create a class book. The next article, study of student learning, achievement in computer in course on creating ebooks and student satisfaction. This was also geared towards older grades, but again, I really like this just to help with the planning because it is so important to have a plan, a rubric, and stick to it so that students know what they need to do. Making books in the classroom, one way to get learning to stick. Again, this can be an extension in the classroom if teachers are talking about community helpers. If they're talking about different important community figures, they can learn about it in class and then make a quick report about it and then make it into a class book for future classes to use. And then also one of the articles I read was a blog fits between the shelves, behind the shelves. What is a literature-based makerspace? So I really wanted to make sure that I was doing it correctly when I decided to create this kind of makerspace. So this is a wonderful article that really helped me see the benefits of creating something geared more towards literature and writing. So some of the websites that I use were Book Creator, of course, Student Treasure. So if teachers would like to create a class book, that is one of the websites they can go to. The makerspaces.com, the guide to creating one, was a really great website to think of different materials and other resources to use. Storybird is similar to Student Treasures, where you can create a class book. And the last one, the Social Emotional Teacher, How to Create a Paper Bag Book. I love this website because it showed really creative ways to use paper bags. So if you don't have quite the amount of funding you need, you can use paper bags to help create a beautiful and creative cover for your books. So where can I place my makerspace and the materials? So I'm going to talk about the storage. So if I were to get the tablets, I would place them in carts like this to kind of keep everything organized, but also allow for easy access for students. And then I would organize all of the art materials here in these particular containers. That way they're clear. I'm a type of teacher where if it's out of sight, out of mind, so I would need a clear container labeled so that way I know where to get the supplies and students know where to access the supplies with permission, of course. Okay, and then here is a rough draft. I do apologize that it is not lit up a little bit more. However, my idea for this makerspace, in this top left corner here, it says Chrome or iPad cart. So this is where I would place the iPads that students could access with adult supervision. And then over here, I would call this my ebook section. So here we would have either a laptop like a Chromebook or a desktop that's already provided for the school. And this is where students who decide to create their book digitally would come and have a seat. Here at this particular table is the art supply station. So I would monitor between here and the computer station. And this is where students can come and get supplies for their physical books. And then here, of course, here's where students would come here and either continue writing their physical books or decorating, just depending on where we are in the writing process. And then down here, over here in the bottom left, it should say Jamboard or Smart TV. So this is where I would demonstrate or show my example. And this is also where students would present their books. And then here's where they would sit on the rug. So of course, again, like I mentioned in the picture, a art supply station for all the papers and supplies. That is what you saw earlier. A tablet cart for students to access with permission, the physical book station, the Jamboard, and a computer station. So ways that I could fund it. So we, of course, could do a fundraiser. You could do stencils, candy, anything with permission from your school, of course. Donors Choose is a wonderful site. writing grants. I know my school district is really good about promoting writing grants and then providing the money. I'm writing grants to the state, GoFundMe, and also I meant to mention PTA meetings. So we have a really great PTA, and I think that's a awesome way, with permission, of course, to talk about funding for the makerspace. And I do have my letter here. So here I have my letter written out here explaining why I adore and I would love to have the supplies for my makerspace. So some of the supplies would include a book binder, depending on how we did the physical book, and pipe cleaners, glue, and other physical materials, and then just explaining why it's really important to me and it would benefit students. And then once you scroll down, you have your supply list. So for the digital books, of course, a tablet with a stylus. That is very important when they're doing their rough draft and also drawing their pictures. So a stylus would be very important. Of course, some examples are a microphone or a computer that allows students to talk into the phone, or headphones even with a microphone, because their book creator and also another application allows for students to do voiceover. So that's really fun. Um, a mouse, a wireless mouse. If we have Chromebooks, that is so important because I know a lot of students do get frustrated when they are using the trackpad. So here are some of the physical book supplies and then the decorations for the cover. So those are my products. What ways to market? So of course, school communication systems, whether it's Remind Me, Parent Square, Class Dojo, with administration approval, I would definitely use that. Marketing on the school's social media site with approval, flyers around the school and flyers sent home, flyers posted in areas around the community, such as a field house or maybe a stadium. So those are ways that I would market the makerspace or market for donations or funding. Who can use the space? Students, of course, with supervision and scheduled. Classroom teachers, same thing with a schedule. And then the makerspace can be used during school hours as scheduled, and then after school with permission and supervision. And then finally, the products would, of course, be their book, whether it's digital or physical. It would have to have a title, 4 pages minimum, 3 pictures drawn, whether they draw it on their tablet or physically, a front cover with your name, and then an author's page. So I would love for students to just kind of talk about their inspiration, what inspired them, how they came about the idea of the story or their text. So yes. So again, my name is Brianna Stewart, and that was my Maker's Plan, books by me. Thank you.